deeper dive into the issues that affect you, the residents of the Ohio Valley. Sponsored by Trinity Health System.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rich Pierce. Thank you for joining me for this edition of One-on-One. My guests today come from the Friendly City. Mayor Glenn Elliott, Vice Mayor Chad Thalman. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
We want to jump right into the user fee, the $2 fee per week per person who works in the city of Wheeling, and that will come into effect on January 1st. So why is this needed? Mayor Elliott, let's start with you.
City Council realized about 2.5 years ago after we got elected that our first responders are working out of facilities that are really antiquated. Our police department's been in the same building since 1958. The fire department since 1976, 1977. And we're in 21st century policing and first responder services working out of facilities that just don't make sense. So we identified the need for a new building. Last fall we voted to put a new building, a public safety proposal on the tax levy, on the ballot for a tax levy. It was a November ballot. It needed 60% in the state of West Virginia. It got 54%. It was a $20 million building at 10th and Market Street, downtown Wheeling. We felt that, following that vote, we had an obligation. 54% voted for the building, 46% voted no. We had to respond to both those two constituencies because we wanted to build the building because the need was still there, but we wanted to actually reduce the cost. So we looked down at other ways to finance the project and scale back the project. And we identified under West Virginia law, we don't have a lot of options. User fee is one of the options that we looked at. It's not a perfect tax. It's not a perfect solution because, it applies to everybody, whether you make minimum wage or whether you're a CEO of a corporation. But it's the only tool we really had aside from a property tax levy, which we didn't think could pass. So we said, you know what? We have to go forward with this proposal because we have to get this building built. So we scaled back the original $20 million building. We have a $14 million project now we're looking at. We think $1 of that $2 fee will go to that building and fund it. And it's something that I think is desperately needed in the city.
Well, it's not without controversy, the passage of this. There were folks who were very outspoken against it, feeling like maybe this was a bit of an end around. Taxpayers didn't get the votes required, and so now the people who work there are essentially being punished for it. What's your response to those folks?
Ultimately, what we try to do is listen to everybody. So in 49 states, a tax levy that gets 54% of the vote passes. West Virginia is the only state in the country that requires tax levies for municipalities to get 60%. So once it failed to get 60%, we kind of went back to the drawing board. We said, okay, we got to honor what the majority of people want us to do, and that's build this building. But let's talk to the 46% of people that voted against it. And when we spoke to that 46%, there was three things that they kind of said concerned them. And there's three reasons why they said they didn't vote for the building. One was they thought it was too expensive. Two, they thought it looked too fancy. And three is they didn't like the location. So the original building at 10th and Market Street was going to be built on an existing parking lot in downtown Wheeling. Our police chief and fire chief thought that was the best location for response times, but some people were concerned with taking away roughly 160 spaces in downtown Wheeling, 160 parking spaces. So we went back to the drawing board. We asked our chiefs and city staff to find another location that would not take away existing parking and that would reduce the cost. And they came back to us with another location at 19th and Jacob Street. So we feel like we've tried to listen to everybody. We certainly want to listen to the majority of people who voted for the building, the 54% who voted to raise property taxes for this building, but we also try to listen to the 46% of people that voted against it, and we try to address some of their concerns.
Now, 54% is not too far off of 60, which is, of course, what you needed. So why not take it back to the voters with an alternate plan?
There's a lot of cost in having a special election, and also there's there's a risk it may not pass, and at the end of the day, the need is still there. Our police department, right now operates out of 4,500 square feet. If you look at comparable departments across the state of West Virginia, it's almost 10 times that in terms of the size. We didn't have the luxury to wait a year, 2 years, 3 years to get this done. We looked at the only other option we have, which is the user fee. If you look across the state of West Virginia, because a state legislature is very restrictive of the way cities can raise money in West Virginia. If you look at the other cities that have already done this, Huntington, Charleston, Morgantown, Fairmont, Parkersburg, Weirton, I'm probably forgetting one or two, have already enacted user fees because it's the only option that they have. Our user fee at $2 is still going to be the lowest in the state of the 7 cities that have user fees. And we felt it's really the second best way to do this. The property tax levy would have been the best way. We didn't think there's a way to get to 60, and if it didn't get to 60, then it's gone on the ballot twice and failed, and the need is still there.
What do you say to the person who lives in St. Clairsville or lives in Washington, Pennsylvania, and they work in Wheeling, and now $104 that they could have spent on something else is going to go to this? How do you sell it to them?
Yeah, ultimately these individuals are coming to the city of Wheeling. They're driving on our roads. So $1 of the $2 will go to infrastructure, and the other $1 is going to go to public safety. So anyone that comes to Wheeling, that works in Wheeling, they're going to be driving on our roads and bridges. They're going to be using our infrastructure. And if there's ever any type of emergency, then they're going to benefit from having probably the most professional police department and fire department in the entire Ohio Valley.
Do you agree with that sentiment then?
110%. And what people don't realize is a lot of cities here on the Ohio side of the Ohio River actually have income taxes where instead of $100 a year, it's $200, $300, $400, $500 a year because, in the state of Ohio, you can have up to a 2% city income tax. We can't do that in West Virginia. Our legislature really ties our hands. So we have to look at user fees. Sales tax, user fees, and property tax are really the only options we have. And our sales tax was already at 1%, so we couldn't really do anything else with it. So we looked at user fee as an imperfect but still a fair way to actually share the burden of this cost for this great city services that we provide. If you're injured, if you're driving in Wheeling and you're injured, you're in an accident, or if your house catches on fire, you're going to have a professional department show up in a matter of minutes. And you look at other parts, you look at parts outside in the county, outside of city limits, you don't have that same level of service. So there is a fee for that service, which I think is fair and justifiable based on the options in front of us.
Is there a time when this fee would end? Is this perpetual and could be added on to, of course, at a later date, or even scaled back to zero? Or is this just something that's going to be a permanent fixture?
Yeah, so this fee will go into effect January 1st, and we have discussed sunsetting it so when the building's paid off, then the fee would go away.
The ordinance actually sunsets it after 25 years. It goes back to zero. Now, City Council at that time could vote to keep it, but they would still have to vote in the affirmative to keep it at $2 or to raise it and pay the consequences of that. Raising fees, raising taxes is a risky thing to do politically. We didn't do this because it's good politics. I can tell you that. We looked at every other option around there. We did this. The five who voted for this did this because we think it's the best option in front of us right now. It's fair to the first responders. It's fair to the citizens willing to provide them the best services going forward.
How far in the future will this building be paid off? What's the projection right now?
Yeah, roughly 25 years. So we think it would.
25, okay.
The bonds that have not been sold yet, we have not determined exactly the location of the building. So we wanted to take one step at a time, get the lose-your fee set up so we have the financing ready, and then we can pick a site, have the building designed, and then sell the bonds. But we were anticipating the bonds would be paid off in about 25 years. Is
there any concern this user fee might deter some perhaps small businesses from wanting to locate into the city of Wheeling?
You always look at, is the city being as competitive as it can be? I think having first-rate public safety service is a good selling point. We are a very safe city. If you look at us, you look at our numbers, 27,000 in population, the number of crimes we have is very, very low. We are a very safe city. We have great, excellent first responder services. So I think that's a great selling point. If you look at what other cities are doing, as I mentioned, a lot of cities on the Ohio side of the river have higher income taxes already. We don't have an income tax, so we still have that competitive advantage as well. You have to look at the pros and cons of it. I think it makes us more competitive in the long run. We want to have a police department that is working out of the best facilities possible. And right now, we've been asking them to do a lot out of space. It's really not conducive to a good work environment. It's not great for morale. It's really been holding them back. We need to give them the tools that they need to do what they do well.
And this is something that they've been asking for,
absolutely,
obviously. So what's the biggest benefit then, other than the building itself, that will come from this for those first responders?
Yeah, so of course we're looking at building a new public safety building, or building a new headquarters for our police department, building a new headquarters for our fire department. We're also looking at taking some of this money, buying a new fire engine. So a fire truck costs roughly $500,000. Just in the 3+ years that we've been in office, we've already bought one fire truck for around $500,000. We're in the process of buying a ladder truck that costs well over $1 million. So we think this user fee will also give us the ability to buy another fire truck around $500,000. We're looking at making renovations to the 6 or 7 other firehouses that are in the city of Wheeling. Some of those firehouses haven't been renovated in decades. And then we're also looking at buying some more police cruisers so officers can have take-home cars.
And what's the benefit for having police and fire in the same building?
Well, there's a lot of shared things. They could actually be on the same page in terms of communicating, in terms of response times, in terms of strategies. A lot of them actually go to the same calls. Their 911 call, they both end up going, but they're coming from different places. This kind of puts them in the same conversation. One thing I want to stress is while we are looking at the building at 19th and Jacob Street, that's not been City Council has not decided on that site yet. We're still in discussions with the property owner and still looking at other options. It may be we choose another site. if we have to, I may still look at 2 buildings ultimately at the end of the day. We haven't made that final decision yet. All we've said is we have the funding in place. We need a new building. We need new facilities for the first responders. And that funding is now in place. We have to take the next few months and pick a site and go forward with it.
We'll talk about the building itself in just 2 minutes. We're going to head to our first commercial break. Stick with us. This is One on One with Rich Pierce.
Elliott Heating and Cooling is offering a fall maintenance special starting at $89.95. Make sure your system is ready to keep you warm this season. Contact us today to schedule an appointment for all your indoor air quality needs.
My toe is swollen. It could be gout. They say something's going around. I think I tore my meniscus. Maybe not. Hey, babe. It's either nothing or AB to lip or proteinemia.
Catch everything high school football on the WMC Tri-State Medical Network Sports Friday. We bring all the highlights right to you with the most comprehensive coverage in the Valley. We're at every big game every week, no matter where they are, with all the touchdowns, picks, hits, and excitement. The WMC Tri-State Medical Network Sports Friday, every Friday night at 11:10.
Imagine getting immediate help with small jobs and chores around your home. Sound impossible? Not with the Tackle app. The Tackle app connects you with background check providers who are standing by to help you with house cleaning, yard work, junk removal, and lots more. All jobs are pre-priced, so there's no appointments, no estimates, no negotiating. You can have someone on the way within an hour to help you tackle your to-do list. Download the Tackle app for free today. Get your to-do list done with Tackle.
Elliott Heating and Cooling is offering a fall maintenance special starting at $89.95. Make sure your system is ready to keep you warm this season. Contact us today to schedule an appointment for all your indoor air quality needs.
This is One on One with Rich Pierce, a deeper dive into the issues that affect you. Sponsored by Trinity Health System.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, I'm joined by Wheeling Mayor Glenn Elliott and Vice Mayor Chad Thalman today, and we are going to talk now about the public safety building itself, that proposed site on 19th and Jacob Streets. It's 3 acres. The assessment, $40,000. City going to offer around $500,000, and there has been some confusion about that. So,
yes.
Had to ask about it. So what's going on with that?
The city has not offered a dime for the building. The asking price is $534,000, and I think a little bit of the confusion has been, there's a newspaper story suggesting the city has agreed to pay that amount for it. We've never agreed to pay any dollar for that a building right now. What we have is a proposal from the property owner saying, if you want this lot, this is what I'm asking for it. What we've done is we've ordered an appraisal of the property. I don't think the assessment fully captures the value. I think it only included 1 or 2 of the parcels. There's multiple parcels that are on that 3.5 acres right there. It's on 19th and Jacob, which abuts on Wheeling Creek. There's actually more there than I think was reflected in that assessment. That said, the assessment, if you add it all up, is still going to be a lot less than $500,000. We're going to look at that. At the end of the day, we have to look, is this fair for the taxpayers or not? The advantage of that site is because it's 3 acres, we can build a 1-story building instead of a 3-story building. With a 1-story building, you don't have to build elevators and stair towers, and that reduces the cost dramatically. So that's really where, right now, where we are is, we're going to get that appraisal. Once we have the appraisal, it's going to give us some information to talk to the property owner and say, look, this is what it's appraised at. Are you willing to come down to this or not? If the answer is no, then we'll look at other sites as well.
And now this building would be, like you said, 1 story, and the cost that you've talked about is $14.5 million, which is, of course, less than $20 million, but it's still $14.5 million, and I think taxpayers see that, and their eyes kind of bug out a little bit. So how do you sell this?
Yeah, ultimately, what we have to do is make sure that we provide our first responders with modern facilities that they need in 2019 and going forward to keep Wheeling safe. So I'll use Morgantown for an example. The city of Wheeling and Morgantown, they have almost an identical number of police officers, roughly 70 police officers, roughly 10 civilians working in the police department. The city of Wheeling's police department is 4,600 square feet. The city of Morgantown's police department is over 40,000 square feet. So the same number of officers, 10 times as much space. We need functional space for our police officers, not today or tomorrow, but we needed it 15 years ago.
And that spot on 19th and Jacob, if indeed you do go forward with that one and purchase the building, you talked about how first responders were saying that the original site was going to be a perfect location. Is that still a good enough spot for them? What do they think about it?
The first site was definitely the best location in terms of response times. It was a block or two away from I-70 there from the tunnel. You can get eastbound, westbound on I-70. You get to Route 2 pretty easy. So our police and fire chief loved that site for its response time impact. And because where it's located, we could also close down the North Wheeling Fire Station without really compromising on response times. The 19th and Jacob Street is not as good from a response time perspective. It's a little bit less. You know, it's a couple blocks to get to 16th and then to get on the Route 2 interchange right there. That being said, you know, if you weigh all the pros and cons, it's still a great site in terms of we can get the same functionality of building for about $6 million less. So it really is a pro and con. It's not the best for response time, but it's great in that you can build a cheaper building and still achieve the same functionality.
In all adds, you know, City Council did not pick either of these sites. These sites were picked because city staff working with the police chief and fire chief identified these sites. The 10th and Market Street site was the ideal location. When we asked them to find a way to reduce the cost, they came back to us with this site at 19th Street and said, hey, this site has a bigger footprint, therefore we can build a one-story building and the cost will be reduced. But these sites were picked in large part by the police chief and fire chief, and I think they're satisfied with the response times at those sites.
Is the main reason the cost is less is because it's a one-story building then, or is there any other amenity that's been changed?
It's about the same size building. I think it's gone from 53,000 to 52,000 square feet, but it's the same functionality. It's just you're not building stair towers and elevators, and that really adds a lot to the cost of buildings.
All right, we're going to come back in just 2 minutes now, and we are going to talk about OVMC, the potential loss of 736 jobs in October. We'll get to that. We'll get to much more when we return for this edition of One-on-One with Rich Pierce.
My toe is swollen. It could be gout. They say something's going around. I think I tore my meniscus. Maybe not. Hey, babe. It's either nothing or AB to lip or proteinemia.
Mom hit Dad's car pulling out of the driveway again.
Yeah, well, at least Mom knows where to take the car to get the job done right. Dad wanted to go to that place his insurance company suggested, and they did a half.
I'm telling if you say that word.
Wellsburg Tire and Collision promises a 100% guarantee, and they'll walk us through our claim.
Hey, Jerry, we need to fix the car. Down here.
Bring your vehicle to the guys you can trust. Wellsburg Tire and Collision.
Does Mom know we drove the car over here ourselves?
Soldiers in the Army National Guard live up to a set of time-honored principles. They stand ready to respond to any crisis. They serve in their communities as citizens and as soldiers. They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times. Learn more at NationalGuard.com.
This is One-on-One with Rich Pierce, a deeper dive into the issues that affect you. Sponsored by Trinity Health System.
Welcome back. Joined today by Mayor Glenn Elliott, Vice Mayor Chad Thalman, of course, of the city of Wheeling. And let's talk about OVMC now. OVMC, EORH, both are going to be shutting down in October unless they are purchased. Of course, we are in September, so it's kind of difficult. That is very soon coming up. 736 workers from OVMC will lose their jobs. So what kind of hit is that to the city of Wheeling?
Yeah. Well, obviously, you know, when we heard the news, It didn't come as a complete surprise because we've been in discussions with officials from Electo for the last couple of years. We knew they had serious problems when Electo stepped in and bought that hospital 2 years ago. We knew that there was some reset was going to come. Obviously, a closure is a dramatic step, and I hope closure is not the end game here. But a lot of discussions are ongoing each and every day. You know, we're talking with officials at the federal, the state, the local level, trying to figure out a solution here. You know, the concern for us is really threefold. We have, you know, you mentioned the jobs, and I mean, like 700, 800 jobs in the city of Wheeling is a big deal. You mentioned the healthcare impact. You know, the psychiatric beds there are the only ones for a 60 or 70 mile radius. That's something. It's a very important issue for our community. And then you talk about the real estate. You know, like the OVMC campus occupies a big chunk of Center Wheeling, and having it go dark is something, you know, I'm not prepared to accept just yet. So we're looking at all the options. You know, it's a very tough issue. You know, that hospital has had financial issues going back 30 or 40 years that are all kind of coming to roost right now in 2019. And the city is doing everything it can to find a happy ending here, recognizing that whatever comes out of this is going to look a little bit different.
What kind of role does the city play in potentially bringing in something else?
Yeah.
Whether it be a hospital, whether it be something else into that building, into that section.
Yeah, the city's been working with our state and federal partners. I know Mayor Elliott in particular has been on the phone a lot with Congressman McKinley, with the governor's office. We've also been speaking regularly with other elected officials. You know, our absolutely top priority is to save as many of those jobs as possible. We're optimistic that we can save a lot of them, help save a lot of them. But in the end, we think that OVMC is going to look slightly different than what it does today.
And obviously the hospital will be closed and those folks will lose their jobs, but secondary businesses will be impacted as well. You're talking about nearby restaurants, places like that. So what's the potential impact there, and how do you think those folks are going to survive and advance here?
I've already talked to some Center Market business owners, and they are concerned about the impact because a lot of the OVMC employees, you know, when they go to lunch, they go down to Center Market and spend their money right there. These are things we're worried about. You know, the city owns a parking garage right next door, and, you know, there's a primary parking in that garage is OVMC employees. If that goes away, you know, that's going to impact our parking revenues too. So it's an impact across the city. You know, once again, we're not prepared to accept the idea of it completely closing, but recognizing that something's going to happen at the end of the day that's going to look a little bit different. You know, I know a lot of conversations are ongoing, and each and every day I hear something different, so I really don't know where it's going to come out at the end of the day. But I know that, you know, there's a lot of people who are not going to let all those jobs go away, especially the psychiatric care, especially the ER services for downtown. You know, if you lose that option right there, you're going to redirect a lot of people to Wheeling Hospital's ER services. And are they going to be in a position to absorb that impact? It's something, you know, as a community, it's something we all have to grapple with, you know. So I know that everything that could be done is being done right now at every level of government. We're doing our part. I've talked to the Council for Electo regularly. You know, they keep me up to date as well. But it's something we're deeply concerned about. But at the end of the day, you know, we've known that something is coming here because this hospital was probably not sustainable as it has been operated for many, many years.
It's not just. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so OVMC and Wheeling University certainly present some major challenges for the city of Wheeling, for residents, for employees, for local businesses. But ultimately, we do feel that Wheeling is heading in a positive direction. There's a lot of good things that are taking place in the city of Wheeling, and we're optimistic that we're going to be in a better place in a few years from now than we are right now.
Wheeling University, that's the next topic I wanted to bring up too. How important is that for the school to stay open for the city of Wheeling? Yeah,
what's another? You have a 30 or 40 acre campus right in the geographic center of the city of Wheeling. The prospect of it going dark is something we weren't okay with either. Very happy the state stepped in and, you know, gave them the accreditation. The diocese helped out as well. At least keep them going for one more year. I know they have a lot of work to do to get that back on track to actually make it profitable and sustainable. But I'm encouraged, you know, what they add to our community, you can't just put it into dollar terms. You know, all that faculty, you know, the faculty and the students live in our neighborhoods, they shop at our restaurants. They actually add to the cultural diversity of the city. So losing that is something we're not okay with. Recognizing that it's going to end up looking a little bit different as well. They're adding football this year. You know, that may bring some new life to campus that wasn't there before. It's going to be a moving target as well, but we'll do whatever we can to keep them going. You know, having Wheeling University there is something that, adding that intellectual capital to our city is something that makes us look better as a city, makes us more competitive, actually makes people want to move here as well. So we have to do whatever we can to keep them going as well.
We have about 30 seconds. What are some things that the city can do to help Wheeling University?
Yeah, so we've been in regular contact with the governor's office. The Mayor Elliott in particular has worked closely with the governor's office, and we're here to do whatever we can do to assist Wheeling University, to assist their students, to assist their faculty. It is an important piece, right, as the mayor said, in the middle of the city of Wheeling, and we're going to do what we can do to keep them open.
All right, we're going to take our final commercial break. Now we'll be back in just moments. This is One on One with Rich Pierce.
Call now and
save with Bathfitters Extended Labor Day Savings. Choose your deal. 0 interest for 24 months or take 10% off your tub or shower upgrade. If you need a place to relax or a conversion to make bathing easier, call now and count on the company with a seamless wall, a lifetime warranty, and installation in as little as 1 day. Don't wait.
Are you ready? The only game in town. The game of the week. Brought to you by these sponsors. On the Bordas and Bordas Friday Night Rivals.
At the Orchards, we care for the minds, bodies, and souls of our residents and our employees. For industry-leading benefits and compensation packages, please give us a call today to get your career started at the Orchards. The Orchards offers flexible scheduling to ensure your well-being. A generous paid time off package guarantees quality time at home, allowing you to return to work refreshed and wanting to care for our residents. Call me. Let's talk today about your career at the Orchards.
It's the Kelly Clarkson Show. No. The Kelly Clarkson Show. The Kelly Clarkson Show. Wiki. Too much? Little much? The Kelly Clarkson Show.
There's always been a Kelly Clarkson Show. Now it's on TV.
The Kelly Clarkson Show, starting September 9th on WTOV. This is One-on-One with Rich Pierce, a deeper dive into the issues that affect you. Sponsored by Trinity Health System.
Welcome back for our final segment. We have about 2 minutes, gentlemen, so I want to give you a chance to talk about something you want to talk about. Mayor Elliott, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Rich. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. The city of Wheeling is really in a very neat place right now, but we were kind of going through some transitions that, have a lot of people talking, are our best days in front of us or behind us? And I think that's the central debate in Wheeling right now. Did we peak in 1950 or are we going great places? I think the city of Wheeling's best days lie ahead. But, we have to get through some of these growing pains. We're not ever going to be the city we were in 1950. We're never going to have a downtown full of big retail stores, but we can be something different, something better. We just have to reinvent ourselves, and we have to keep marching forward. We have to keep looking to the future with optimism and kind of let go of the past. I think our rich history is sometimes almost a crutch because we rely on it and we look to it to kind of guide us in terms of what the future is. We can't look back. We have to look forward. It's something I tell people all the time. This city council is very forward-looking, and, we just have to get through some of these growing pains. I look over the next hill and see the next challenge and just keep moving forward.
Vice Mayor Thalman.
Yeah, it's never going to be popular or fun to raise taxes or raise fees. The user fee vote was probably the most unpleasant vote that any of us ever made. It's not one any of us enjoyed. But ultimately what we believe is that the city of Wheeling needs to make some important investments in our public safety system and in infrastructure. The can's been kicked down the road for a long time in Wheeling. We didn't run for city council to kick the can down the road. We ran for city council to do what's best for the city of Wheeling. So it was a difficult decision to vote to implement the user fee. But if it was an easy decision, it probably would have been made a long time ago.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. And that does it for this edition of One-on-One with Rich Pierce. Again, a big thank you to Mayor Elliott and Vice Mayor Thalman. If you have anyone you'd like to see on the show, let me know. Send me a tweet at RichWTOV9, or you can email me at rpierce@WTOV.com. Have a great day. Chair.
All right. That wasn't too bad.